They called him the Golden Ghost of Malibu, a millionaire who appeared from nowhere, living in a glass fortress above the Pacific. His name was Ethan Cross, and every photo, every interview, every smile seemed flawless. But behind that perfection, a silent, digital heartbeat pulsed. One that would soon expose everything. When cybersecurity analyst Lena Ortiz stumbled across an IP connected to his empire, she didn't realize she was stepping into a digital labyrinth built on lies, ransom, and fear. Online, Ethan Cross was a legend, a self-made tech visionary who turned startups into gold. But beneath that image was a void. No one had ever verified his companies, his degrees, or his past. Lena's trace of a ransomware node pointing to his mansion wasn't a coincidence. It was a digital fingerprint, and she had just touched it. Ethan's online persona was spotless. Charity events, leak interviews, glowing features on business magazines. But when Naomi began digging into his early records, she found gaps. Missing years, fake addresses, shell companies. Every trace led to another digital shadow. Meanwhile, in Washington, Ryan Beckett received Lena's encrypted message. Attached was one line: Cross Holdings matches the ransomware pattern. Same encryption key. Ryan knew what that meant. Either a massive coincidence or a ghost hiding in plain sight. As the sun set over Malibu, Ethan Cross raised a glass of wine to his reflection, unaware that the digital fortress he'd built was already being watched. Somewhere across the city, Lena pressed enter, opening the first crack in his empire. Lena knew something didn't fit. Every layer she peeled back led to another shell company, each tied to Cross Holdings, a digital maze built to disguise billions in cryptic transactions. As she decrypted metadata from an offshore server, the same encryption key she'd seen in a ransomware case resurfaced. Ethan wasn't just laundering money, he was laundering identities. And the more she uncovered, the more dangerous it became to even look. Meanwhile, Ethan's charm continued to hypnotize the public. Interviews, philanthropic donations, and influencer endorsements painted him as the face of modern success. But deep beneath that glamour, his mansion's hidden servers connected to dozens of global botnets. The illusion of generosity masked the machinery of digital theft. Naomi's expose gained momentum. The title read, "The Millionaire Without a Past." It hit the front page of TechPulse within hours. But instead of anger, Ethan responded with silence, and then a donation. $50,000 wired to her outlet's charity fund. It was both a gesture of peace and a warning. He knew she was watching. Ryan Beckett's instincts told him this was no ordinary fraud. The encryption key Lena shared wasn't commercial grade. It was military. That meant classified access. Someone inside the system was feeding Ethan data. And if Lena was right, they'd crossed from cybercrime into espionage. Every minute of inaction meant another life compromised. As the digital puzzle tightened, Lena noticed a pattern in the stolen identities. All victims were investors in a company Ethan had once backed. It wasn't random. It was targeted revenge disguised as generosity. Somewhere inside his empire, Ethan Cross was rewriting the truth. One encrypted line at a time. From the air, Ethan's mansion looked like a paradise carved from glass and sunlight, the kind of home meant for legends. But to Lena, it was a data fortress disguised as luxury. With Ryan's federal clearance, they secured a quiet visit under the guise of an investment inquiry. Every step closer to that house felt heavier, as if the air itself resisted intrusion. What waited behind those mirrored walls wasn't just technology. It was truth, wired into steel and silence. Inside, the mansion was eerily quiet. No music, no staff, only the whisper of filtered air. Ethan's charm flowed easily, practiced. He spoke of innovation, philanthropy, and purpose. Yet Lena's eyes kept darting to subtle details, small vents humming in rhythm. faint lead reflections on polished surfaces, the hum of hidden machinery beneath opulence. Every word from Ethan was smooth, every gesture rehearsed. Ethan guided them to his innovation wing, claiming it was where his AI prototypes operated. But the deeper they went, the colder the air became, sterile, metallic. Beneath decorative panels, servers pulsed like mechanical veins. Lena's watch buzzed. Her scanner detected an encrypted signal, military-grade frequency. Ryan's jaw tightened. They weren't in an innovation lab. They were inside an active control center. Then Ethan's mask slipped. For a moment, the charm faded, replaced by something colder, sharper. He asked Lena what she really did. Her breath hitched. Ryan stepped forward, introducing himself as an investor. But Ethan wasn't convinced. He turned slowly, eyes flicking toward the mirrored wall. Somewhere behind it, a red light blinked twice. It wasn't a decoration. It was a silent signal. As they left, Ethan's farewell was polite, almost theatrical. But once outside, Lena's laptop pinged. A trace had just been initiated on her device, from inside the mansion. He'd tagged her. The hunter had marked his prey. The mansion on the cliff wasn't just home to a millionaire. It was an organism, watching, recording, defending itself. Lena's laptop froze. The trace from Ethan's mansion wasn't passive. It was invasive. In seconds, her drives locked behind encryption, the same signature she'd seen in his ransomware. She'd walked into his system, and now he was walking into hers. Her screens flickered. Lines of text appeared on black background. Curiosity has a cost. Ms. Ortiz. The realization hit. Ethan knew her name. Ryan received her emergency call seconds later. His instincts kicked in. He pulled federal trace logs, confirming a data breach from a private Malibu network registered under a shell domain. They were officially inside FBI jurisdiction now. But Ethan anticipated every move. As agents prepared their warrants, his systems began deleting themselves in real time, like a ghost erasing footprints before the dawn. Across the city, Naomi Chen's phone rang once, then went dark. Her article had disappeared from every platform, replaced with a blank page titled "Network Error." The silence that followed wasn't random, it was deliberate. Ethan's empire was retaliating. One by one, every digital voice that questioned him was being erased. Ethan watched the chaos unfold from his glass fortress. The mansion was alive, data servers humming, encrypted tunnels rerouting connections, drones scanning the property perimeter. His calm was unsettling. To him, this wasn't defense. It was art. He whispered to his reflection, "Every empire must protect its myth." And the myth was built on control. By midnight, the trap had fully closed. Lena's systems were offline. Naomi had vanished, and Ethan's mansion had gone dark. Yet Ryan wasn't done. He initiated a covert protocol, a digital mirror designed to capture Ethan's next signal. If Ethan moved again, even for a second, the FBI would see it. The next strike would no longer be in cyberspace. It would be at the mansion itself. Every system has a weak point. And Ethan's wasn't his technology, it was his people. Deep within his network, one of his trusted developers reached out to Lena under a ghost alias. The message read, "He's losing. I can get you in." Lena knew it could be a trap, but it was the only chance to access Ethan's encrypted vault, the core of his operation. For the first time, the Predator's own network was turning against him. The insider went by the name Marco, an IT architect who'd built Ethan's hidden infrastructure. He claimed he'd watched too many lives ruined by Ethan's greed. When he shared access credentials to a shadow server, Lena and Ryan realized what it contained. Hundreds of identities, government contracts, and encrypted ransom keys linked to every major cyber attack of the past year. Ethan wasn't a thief. He was a digital warlord. Inside the mansion, Ethan noticed an anomaly in his system latency. A silent alert pulsed. Someone had penetrated Layer 4. He moved swiftly, disabling circuits and initiating a traceback. But when he saw the origin IP, his eyes narrowed. It was one of his own developers. Betrayal burned like ice. He whispered a command, and the screens shifted, displaying Marco's location. Marco's system went dark as Ethan deployed a purge script. Lena reacted instantly, rerouting Marco's data through a shadow node she'd built for emergencies. The mansion's server began to falter under the pressure, its encryption struggling to self-heal faster than Lena could breach. The battle between Coder and King unfolded in real time, lines of code clashing like soldiers in a silent war. This wasn't hacking anymore. It was survival. The breach succeeded. The master vault cracked open for 6 seconds, just long enough for Lena to download the truth. Names of victims, offshore accounts, classified government contracts, all encrypted in Ethan's personal signature. It was proof of everything. But before she could celebrate, her screens went black. Ethan's counter-strike had reached her system. The lights in her apartment flickered. He was coming for her, not digitally this time. The FBI surrounded the Malibu cliffs before dawn. Waves crashed below as tactical vans lined the private road leading to Ethan's mansion. Inside, Ryan watched the live drone feed, every light in the house flickering in sync with the data pulses of its dying network. Lena uploaded the decryption key from her stolen drive, syncing it with the Bureau's mirror server. For the first time, Ethan Cross was visible, not as a millionaire, but as the architect of one of the largest cyber-criminal networks in the world. Inside the mansion, Ethan's servers screamed under the weight of intrusion. Files cascaded open, alarms flashing red across his control center. He typed commands furiously, trying to isolate his core network, but the walls were closing in. As power cut across the east wing, he activated a final failsafe. A physical data purge meant to melt every drive in the room. His calm returned for a moment. If he couldn't keep his empire, no one would. Ryan led the breach team through the shattered glass entryway. The air inside buzzed with static and heat. Lena followed close, tracing Ethan's signal through a portable receiver. Alarms echoed through marble halls as they descended into the lower levels. There, beneath the perfection, the heart of Ethan's empire revealed itself. A labyrinth of blinking lights and endless cables. The mansion wasn't just his home. It was the network itself. When they reached the control room, Ethan was waiting, unarmed but unflinching. His gaze met Lena's through the glass partition. "You think you exposed me," he said softly. "But all you've done is open a door you can't close." Before Ryan could respond, Ethan hit one final key. The mansion systems began to overload, lights flashing, screens melting into static. Then, the sound, a deep, mechanical hum as generators surged. The fortress was eating itself alive. The explosion wasn't fire, it was light. Ethan's systems imploded, frying circuits, erasing every byte he ever owned. When the smoke cleared, he was gone, pulled from the wreckage alive, but silent. His empire had vanished, his wealth dissolved into encrypted ash. As Lena looked over the cliffside ruins, waves crashed below, scattering burnt fragments of drives into the sea. For the first time, the ghost of Malibu was no longer untouchable. He was human. The raid ended, but the story was only beginning. Ethan Cross, the man the internet once worshipped, was escorted through flashing cameras, his silence more deafening than guilt. Lena watched from behind the barricade, knowing that her discovery had cost lives, trust, and innocence. The media called it the Malibu Mirage. The FBI called it Operation Ghost Code. But to Lena, it was something simpler. Proof that beneath every perfect facade lies a darker system waiting to be seen. Naomi Chen reappeared 2 days later, shaken but alive. She'd been abducted by Ethan's network to silence her, kept in an isolated house under surveillance. Her story broke the dam. Leaked files from Lena's drive confirmed everything. The shell corporations, the offshore laundering, the manipulation of digital identities. What had once been hidden in encrypted walls was now laid bare in front of the world. Ryan submitted his report. 4 terabytes of data linking Ethan to dozens of cyber attacks worldwide. But even with evidence, much of the money vanished, hidden in cryptographic limbo. He watched the ocean through the bureau's window that evening, wondering how many more Ethan Crosses were still out there. Unseen, protected by encryption, thriving in the shadows of data. For Lena, the fame came uninvited. News outlets called her a hero. Cybersecurity firms wanted her on board. But the deeper truth left scars, sleepless nights, shadows of code that still whispered in her mind. Sometimes she swore she could hear Ethan's voice through old data logs, like a ghost embedded in her hard drives. In the world she'd exposed, silence was never permanent. Months later, on the cliffs of Malibu, the ruins of Ethan's mansion still stood. Scorched, silent, reclaimed by salt and wind. Lena visited once more, placing a single USB drive into the sand. It contained the unencrypted truth, not to expose, but to remember. As she watched the tide erase her footprints, she realized something. Ethan's empire had fallen, but the system that built him was still out there, and someone, somewhere, was already rebuilding it.